I'm a fun guy.
Kawhi Leonard, the man of many laughs. Probably his best case to be the GOAT. He sounds like one. But some people would call him the worst superstar
in the history of sports. He is a nightmare.
And a lot of times it's because he's not even on the floor. I mean, how many times have you heard Sham say,
Kawhi Leonard is expected to be sidelined?
I mean, it's a reoccurring theme. It's like we're watching reruns from the 2000s. Like, it's annoying. He keeps getting hurt. Literally, as I'm editing this right now, a tweet hits my notifications talking about Kawhi Leonard with a left knee irritation will be sent home from the road trip for treatment. Oh, boy.
I really think Kawhi Leonard should consider retiring.
Even though that gets exhausting to talk about, there's things in Kawhi's life that are much more interesting to talk about that I think are, oh boy, Kawhi, I know you don't want me to talk about this. Yeah, the Pablo Torre stuff.
$28 million for an alleged no-show job.
Apparently Kawhi was getting paid on the side to plant trees that he never planted. Not just that, it was under an LLC that had Kawhi Leonard's name on it and also had his uncle Dennis Robertson's name on it. KL2 Aspire LLC. Man, way to make it subtle, guys. But Stephen A. Smith, I don't agree with this whole worst superstar thing, right? It's not black and white. There's much more gray in this story with Kawhi Leonard than you think.
I mean, it's just more question you have to ask me in order for me to tell you about myself.
There's just a lot more meat to this bone that we just gotta unpack.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
It's like an outburst. It's like...
Because there was a point in his career where it felt like he had the last laugh on everyone. I mean, he was at the top of the world. There was nobody that's gonna stop him.
You know, I want to thank Toronto Raptor fans.
But then the next couple of years is where we find ourselves at today, right? After winning a championship with the Raptors, he decided to go to the Clippers. I guess he was aspiring for higher ambitions. Seeing how that worked out, that's the reason why today's video is very interesting to me. Now, I'm going to make more videos about this dude Kawhi, but consider this one me breaking the ice.
One word to describe Kawhi Leonard: relentless.
As a kid, he spent his time working at the car wash with his dad, who owned the place.
Mixing the soap and water, getting the subs on the car, scrubbing stuff that can't get off, doing windows, cleaning rims.
He loved being there so much so that he would work the shifts 8 a.m., 6 p.m., no stop.
The whole day, just seeing each other every day for those extended hours, just working, and that brought us closer.
Unfortunately, that's when tragedy struck early in Kawhi's life.
43-year-old Mark Leonard. He was shot and killed in front of his car wash in Compton.
Is he really gone, or is there a chance he could still be alive, or is this the wrong person? I just had talked to him that day, so it was pretty hard for me.
And basketball for him was an escape from all the bullshit in his life.
He just has a look and he's just going to go and attack and he won't stop.
Now, I think this goes without saying, but so much of what makes Kawhi who he is today is his dad and how close he was with him.
My dad helped me out with my work ethic. He always used to tell me he didn't want me to go through what he had to go through. He wanted my life to be easier than his, so he made me just work hard for what he wanted and what I wanted.
He played the very next day after the tragedy and scored 17 points in a loss. And shortly afterwards, he was quoted here saying, "Basketball is my life, and I wanted to go out there and take my mind off it. It was real sad. My father was supposed to be at the game."
From having Kawhi around me, I knew he's the kind of child that was going to be quiet and draw into his emotions. He was always a quiet child, but he seemed more withdrawn to me and focused on his basketball. I think that was his therapy. I think that for him, that was how he got through it.
After his father had passed away at 16, the person that stepped up in Kawhi's life was his uncle Dennis. With Kawhi saying here in the article released in 2014, "With my dad passing away, there aren't too many men in the family, and he's a great guy to just talk to, and that has been through my experiences at my age. He's just been through life already, good guy to talk to." It was through his uncle that he discovered financial discipline, right? So basically a mentor, a father figure, right, that's in his life from the time he's 16 in high school, playing AAU basketball. And that's where you would see more flashes of Kawhi as a basketball player in college at San Diego State.
The thing that Kawhi possesses that every truly special player has is a burning desire to get better.
He spent 2 years at San Diego State, but it was clear the impact he had in the second year especially, leading the Aztecs to their best record in school history. And it was clear even scouts were paying attention.
You had, if I'm not mistaken, the largest hands here at the draft camp. Can we see the hands? Look at that hand.
Yeah, this dude's hands were huge. Leonard's measurements were freakish, to say the least. I mean, his wingspan was bigger than that of Andrew Bynum's, and that guy's 5 inches taller. Sorry, no, 7 inches taller than Kawhi Leonard.
And his hands might even be more out of proportion. A massive Shaq-like 11.5 inches wide.
One coach said he's got the biggest hands they've seen since Chris Webber. And I went to this website to compare similar measurements of hands, right? You have Wilt Chamberlain, and then you got Michael Jordan right there. He's basically in some elite company there. And I mean, those hands were very useful when it comes to rebounding. He was probably one of the best rebounders in this draft class. Now, as an aside, I do want to mention something that did happen during this draft where Kawhi, a team passed up on him, and namely the Phoenix Suns, who were headed by GM Lance Blanks, and the reasoning for why they did so is even stranger. Quote, part of the Suns' knock on Leonard beyond his perimeter shot was how nervously he acted in the draft combine interview when he sweated through his suit. I really wish I made that quote up.
We stayed true to our process. We are very process driven, and we spent a lot of time researching every guy in the draft that we thought made sense for this organization.
Let's just say that decision, along with many others, is haunting this organization. Now, Kawhi Leonard, he was selected by the Pacers, but then traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a rare mid-draft trade at the time. And I think Kawhi was viewed as a risky pick back then, and the Spurs took a chance on him. And it paid off. 3 years later, he ends up being the third youngest Finals MVP, and he ends up winning that MVP on Father's Day. And how poetic is that?
As I got older, I just pretty much really stopped thinking about it. But I think it just gave me a sense of feel that life and basketball are two different things, and enjoy your time and moments. And, you know, like I always say, just this is basketball. Just go out there and have fun.
And I think the mystique around Kawhi Leonard, him being reclusive, quiet, it begins to make sense when you look into his background, right? That's why I had to highlight all those parts. But now we get to some parts that we don't like to talk about too much. This is the second round of the 2017 playoffs. Spurs Rockets Game 5. Whoever wins takes the commanding 3-2 lead. So in this game here, it's pretty close. Kawhi, though, hurts his ankle. You can see it there on that replay. Oh, boy, not looking so great here. Fortunately, though, he could play through it.
Mills, lot of time. Oh!
But unfortunately for P. Mills, the bucket would not count.
On top, Green drives on Harden, takes it inside.
In the overtime where Kawhi didn't play a single minute, Danny Green and the Spurs actually coming in clutch for Kawhi and actually making this a 2-point lead. Harden has the ball, but gives it to Gordon, who misses the three-pointer. Then Danny Green gets fouled, and he splits the free throws. They're up 3, and then there's a kerfuffle for the ball. Jump ball ensues. Rockets get it with a chance to tie the game with a 3-pointer.
Here's Harden. Ginobili's on him. He's got shot. What a play by Ginobili!
They take Game 5 with old man Ginobili blocking that shot from Harden. Oh my goodness.
How much trouble are the Spurs in?
Even though the Spurs won the game and lead the series 3-2, the fact remains that Kawhi injured his ankle. We're not even sure if he'll play the next game.
Kawhi Leonard looks like a sprained ankle. He says he will play in Game 6.
In fact, he would not play in Game 6. Popovich decided to sit him out so that he could rest. He's like, you know what? Let's take the L here and let's go to Game 7. Wait. What is this scoreboard? Does that shit say it's a 20-point game? With no Kawhi, the Spurs spanked the Rockets. With Harden, oh boy, having one of the worst games he's ever had in the playoffs, in the game that Rockets fans try to forget to this day.
37 minutes, 2 for 11 from the field, 10.7 assists, and 6 turnovers. A magnificent season ends in a rough way.
GD Factory decided it was going to be a terrorist and hide out some of the stats. 2 of 11, 10.7 assists, 6 turnovers. Yikes, that might be one of the worst elimination games we've seen from a star player, a supposed MVP candidate in James Harden. And now you're facing the Super Team Warriors in the conference finals. Kawhi able to play Game 1. He's having a spectacular playoff so far.
Leonard drives, muscles his way inside and scores.
And what do you know? The Spurs making a statement on the road.
Leonard drives on Iguodala, kicks it out, Danny Green, 3-pointer. It's good.
In the third quarter where you're up 15 and oh no! Yes, In the replay, you see Kawhi Leonard shooting the three here and tweaks his ankle behind the Spurs bench right there. Oh no, his own teammate. He landed on his own teammate's foot and tweaked that ankle that he hurt in that Rockets series. Oh no. And he would still play through it despite that. And unfortunately, the worst happened.
And Leonard goes down again. And he's in pain again in front of the Spurs bench.
And what amounted to, I'll say it, a dirty play from Zaza Pachulia. So dirty, in fact, they had to institute a rule to make it a flagrant foul if somebody were to do this very thing. And for Kawhi, it was no dice. He had to get out. He had to get this treated, and unfortunately would not return. An unbelievable showing despite that. 26 points in 3 quarters. With Kawhi's absence, the lead evaporated, and the Warriors ended up being victorious. 9th straight win in the playoffs. And of course, the headlines. Zaza Pachulia, is he at fault? Did he just commit basketball terrorism?
Of course it's a dirty play. It's a dirty... Jalen talked about it, and he did it. Bruce Bowen used to do it. Bill Laimbeer... Larry Bird was once talking about why he hated Bill Laimbeer, why he was a dirty player. He pointed to that play. Plays just like that as a dirty play. In boxing, Stephen A., we know the type. You're a huge boxing fan. You see it. Guy has a big head, bald head. He plans on using his head to headbutt. What does he do? Just charging with his head? No. But when they're close, he swings his head, and it's like, look, if your face happens to be there, not my problem. You're going to catch this head.
Wait, what? Max. Out of context. That quote is crazy. I'm not going to lie, bro.
What are your thoughts on the league now making the closeout Jaja did on the end of the season? Possibly a technical foul or flagrant foul?
Just think it's good just to protect the player from getting hurt. I mean, it happened in the past too. The players that I've seen when I wasn't in the NBA. So I think it's a good rule just for the defender to be cautious, not to injure the player.
From what Kawhi said here, it doesn't seem like he even looks back at that and thinks too much of it.
You still look back and say what might have been, see how gone down.
No, because we could always go back further than that. Till I was a child and say, what if? I don't live life with regrets. So.
Now coming into the season, Kawhi was actually tied with LeBron James as having the best odds to win the MVP in 2018. And this is a Kawhi coming off a injury that, people say, he's going to play this season, but he still is not 100%. It really does show how people view Kawhi, even with that injury. That's how good he was. Him coming back, I mean, he's going to be neck and neck with LeBron James, the best player in the world. And just when he thought he was going to come back from that ankle injury, now he's got a quad injury to worry about. Oh, no.
Kawhi Leonard still has not played a minute for the San Antonio Spurs. And now Greg Popovich is saying that Leonard, due to an injured quad, won't be playing anytime soon.
It's just been unfortunate. Even Greg Popovich admits that recovery was just much slower than they anticipated.
How far along are you on your rehab? 3-on-3, 5-on-5?
What do you mean? How far?
Yeah, I mean, are you now playing 5-on-5 contact? Or?
Yeah.
He hadn't played at all this season, and it looked like his first game back would be on December 12th versus the Mavericks. It was a relief seeing that Kawhi could finally play in this season. In the game where he only played 15 minutes, he scored 13 points, but you could still tell things were bothering him. He had to go back to the locker room to get checked up again. His season high was 25 points where he scored it on the Knicks. It looked like he was slowly and surely coming back to his own. Around this point, you could see the schedule. Kawhi would play once every other game, and he would rest in between. It looked like he was progressing. But then you look later on in the calendar, January, he starts playing less games. And then the last game he played was against the Nuggets. And this was game 9 of the season. And unbeknownst to everybody else, this would be Kawhi's last game as a San Antonio Spur.
Bad news for Spurs fans. Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely with that quad injury.
Yeah, Chris Move had to break the news to everybody on YouTube, bro. Kawhi Leonard, bro, he wouldn't be playing no more. And I'll be honest with you, bro, this is the part of the season where things got messy in the media. The headlines were going crazy. Reports saying Kawhi Leonard is disconnected from the Spurs as frustrations were growing over his rehab process. It's like this little kid in this Chinese festival. He's getting a peek of Kawhi, bro. But what? We need more. It's honestly sad, bro. Like, I need to see more Kawhi Leonard, bro. This season was a season from hell.
And
then Booker the other way. Oh my goodness!
With more time of Kawhi not playing, it led many to speculate on his whereabouts when he was rehabbing away from the team. It seemed like he was distancing himself from the entire franchise. Around this time, Kawhi missed 50 games, and Woj, he was giving us the juicy details that we all wanted to hear.
Sage, Kawhi Leonard was in New York for about 10 days prior to the All-Star break, got a second opinion, and essentially it remains here. When he feels he is physically ready to return, he'll return. He's been cleared medically by the Spurs doctor and outside doctors, and it's on him, his own threshold of pain or discomfort about when he'll return.
And it felt like even Greg Popovich at this point was thinking, yeah, we might never see Kawhi again this whole season.
We only have X number of games left in the season, and he's still not ready to go. And if by some chance he is, it's going to be pretty late into the season, and it's going to be a tough decision. How late you bring somebody back. So that's why I'm just trying to be honest and logical. I'll be surprised if he gets back this year.
The Spurs medically clear him, but Kawhi and his camp, they don't feel like he's ready to play. So they go to a third party in New York, and that's where he's been since. And basically, the trust between him and the Spurs is cooked.
Adrian, what does that potentially mean for his long-term future? He's got 2 years left on a 5-year, $94 million deal. Do you expect this to linger and possibly affect him re-signing in San Antonio?
This entire season has created a lot of tension between the organization and Kawhi Leonard and his camp. This has been as odd of a situation as the Spurs have faced.
The Spurs think Kawhi is ready to play and he's just being weird with it. Clearly that trust is broken. And at this point, the Spurs and Kawhi, they're going to have to reconcile this somehow for things to get better.
There's just been some mistrust, I think, on Leonard's side on really both sides on how this has gone. He's been cleared to return medically. It's on him to decide that he's ready to play again.
Kawhi's camp, they saw how Isaiah Thomas' situation played out. During that playoffs, he played when he was hurt, and he ended up re-aggravating that injury to where his career changed forever. Celtics traded him, and he was never the same again. So I don't blame Kawhi and his camp to just be like, yo, bro, I don't want the same thing to happen to me. Rushing me back. I don't feel like I'm ready to play. Why are you insisting on me playing so much? I'm going to go to a third party and see what they think.
Pop indicated that, Kawhi may not be back this season. How do you adjust to that, and what's the mindset going forward with that deal?
The mindset is more clear than before. Like, if we don't hope for anybody to come back or something like that, we know who we are, and it's not that, is he coming back next week? So at this point of the season, it's only 20 games left. We gotta face the rest of the season and see if he's coming back. If he comes back, great. It's an easier adjustment than just hoping every day.
Some guys, they're taking it positively, right? Obviously, it's unfortunate, but they're basically going to move as if Kawhi never coming back, right, this season, which, is fair.
You got to be in the moment, we all want Kawhi back, and we know, with him, we go to the next level, but, we have to kind of take what's here, and this is the group that we have right now, and guys got to step up and keep producing. So,
but for the first time, Kawhi, you see him in practice with the Spurs, and it feels like things are getting better in terms of the relationship between he and the Spurs.
Do you think this created any type of tension between players and Kawhi?
Are you ready to get back on the court? Is that what brings you out here?
To talk.
Pardon?
This is what brings me out to talk.
Kawhi saying that there's no tension between the two and that apparently it's all made up stuff from the media.
There have been reports that your treatment, your course of treatment has created friction between you and the team. How do you respond to that?
Everything was done as a group. I don't feel like nothing was friction. I talk to Pop every day. He knew what the progressions were. He knew what I was doing the whole entire time, as well as the front office, and we made a group decision, so it wasn't me just going out and saying I'm going to go do this.
Kawhi here saying as well that it seems like things are progressing well with his rehab.
How close are you to getting back, bro?
Soon.
Are you on the protocol? Are you playing 3-on-3 yet? Or
Yeah, I'm been definitely playing some physical contact.
And then Kawhi at the end got asked a very interesting question, very poignant question by a reporter here.
Would you like to finish your career as a Spur?
Yeah, for sure.
Fast forward, LaMarcus Aldridge plays a fantastic game, and he's playing through injury.
He played in a ball game despite a left knee contusion.
Spurs players praised him, but some in the media were questioning Kawhi.
But I do know this. If you can play basketball and you get paid to play basketball, you play basketball. I'm a firm believer in that. You don't worry about, I might get hurt, or I'm worried about my next contract. I think when you get paid to play basketball, you play basketball.
Well, that's obviously easier said than done, Chuck. The amount of money that Kawhi slated to make in his next upcoming extension, right, is way more than Chuck could ever dream of making in the NBA career. But the Spurs, I mean, they're getting worried, man. Even Tony Parker was like, bro, I have no idea what's going on with Kawhi. He's not practicing with us. And I think this is not a strange headline, right? Okay, he's not practicing, so he's still hurt. But there was word that Kawhi would play sooner than later. And he actually is not nearly ready to play. So it's like there's conflicting reports now. I think the hard part with all this is we're not even sure who to trust for the first time in a long time for the Spurs franchise.
Kawhi still feel like a part of the team or the group or anything, like the group text, or just try to make him feel like he's not just totally on the outside looking in.
It's hard when you don't practice with the team. He's not with us most of the time, so it's hard. And I've been in that situation. Well, not for so long, but for a month and a half.
Manu being honest, being candid about the situation, and basically speaking about how Kawhi, his distance from the team is actually hurting. But because of how little is being said from both camps right now, it leaves the media to basically fill the void. And so they have a lot to say. And to be fair, the media, that's their job. They have to dig through the silence. And there seems to be reports that, Spurs held a players-only meeting to ask Kawhi Leonard to return. Doesn't seem like they trust that Kawhi is not healthy.
There's no reason to have a team meeting, a players-only meeting with Kawhi Leonard unless there are individuals inside that locker room who are questioning the legitimacy of his injury at this particular juncture.
One narrative seems to be that Kawhi is too selfish. He cares too much about his future contract. He wants to make sure he's healthy so that he gets paid. The Spurs, they want Kawhi to play, and they don't think that he needs to take all this time to rehab. What Stephen A said here might actually be true, because now, more recently, right, Tony Parker, who's, made a return from a career-threatening quad injury that he sustained last May. In March, Tony Parker made a statement that undercut what Kawhi was going through. He said, I've been through it. It was a rehab for me for 8 months. Same kind of injury as Kawhi, but mine was 100 times worse. But the same kind of injury, you just stay positive, right? And Parker, even undercutting Kawhi, getting a second opinion, right? Talk about his own injury. I could have gone anywhere, but I trust my Spurs doctors. And that seems to be the defining word of this, right? Trust. Kawhi doesn't trust the Spurs. Parker does. Why doesn't Kawhi trust the Spurs? What is Kawhi on? And you just knew the media was going to pick up on this quote right here. And honestly, this is a season-ending quote from Parker. I'll be honest with you, bro. This was the quote that basically set the whole house on fire. Oh, man. The media is even asking themselves, is this Kawhi's last game as a Spur? What we've seen in January, was that his last game as a Spur? And it's just unbelievable how things just, turned sour after a year where it looked like Kawhi was going to bring them closer to the finals than anybody expected, with the super team Warriors in their way. It doesn't seem like Kawhi Leonard is going to return this season at all. The playoffs looming for them. They're playing the Warriors again, but yeah, Kawhi, I don't think he's playing.
Like I said, it's hard to explain, but obviously I'm a competitor, and if I could play, I'm going to go out and play like I did in the 9 games. Just to test it out, and it just wasn't where we wanted it to be.
And even Pop at this point was starting to get tired of answering the same old questions over and over again.
You'll have to ask Kawhi and his group that question. So far they say that he's not ready to go.
Is there any?
So we can't do anything until that happens. Then we would have to decide what's going on from there. But that's the first thing that has to happen.
Any value, even if he's not playing, to having him on the bench with the guys?
He's rehabbing right now in New York, trying to get healthy.
It's looking more and more like the writing is indeed on the wall with Kawhi and the Spurs. A divorce may need to happen for the betterment of both Kawhi and the Spurs franchise.
Pop reiterating to reporters yesterday, Kawhi has yet to be cleared by his group.
I thought the Spurs were his group, Rach.
And with the playoffs rolling around, there is no Kawhi to be seen.
Weber gave it Aldridge. San Antonio Spurs looking to extend this series.
Obviously, the Spurs would not win this series. They're just not equipped to beat the Warriors, especially not without Kawhi Leonard. But this all just leaves a bad taste in your mouth knowing that you were in the postseason without Kawhi Leonard playing most of the season and that you had a puncher's chance with Kawhi on the floor and he just didn't want to be there. And it seems like he's injured. He says he's injured, but the Spurs don't trust that he's injured. They don't know that he's actually injured or not because he's away from the team. It's freaking weird, bro.
The Spurs are the best organization in the NBA, and I don't know what happened.
This is one of the more unexpected plots of the season coming in, and the fracture between the Spurs and Kawhi's relationship, where Kawhi Leonard is set to be making a lot of money, and it seems like Kawhi won't be making that money with the Spurs. Oh boy. By far the juiciest story of the offseason, even with LeBron's free agency decision pending at the point, Kawhi Leonard, would he be a Spur for life or would he be traded that summer?
What's the deal with Kawhi Leonard?
That's a good question. I mean, I talk to him here and there, check up on him, see how he's doing. It's very normal, it's very common for guys to get a second opinion. Things were happening throughout the year where he's feeling good, but then would go back, and his injury was hurting him some. So,
Danny Green being an A-plus teammate here, talking for Kawhi, talking for the Spurs, right? Trying to bridge the gap that seems to be there.
This is one of those, again, where sometimes the external perception isn't always the same as it feels internally. From the outside, it felt very acrimonious. It felt like it had gotten personal and somewhat ugly. Did it feel that way from the inside?
No, not at all. They tried to make it a big deal that we had this team meeting and we were all attacking Kawhi. That wasn't the case by any. Our team is not like that. We don't have that type of characters where guys are beefing or anything. We just had a talk. We asked him, like I said, we're trying to get in the loop. When he's around, we ask him what's going on. We have his back and let him know, we're supporting him. Whatever his decisions may be, we just want to know where he was at that time of season. And that was it. It was a simple conversation.
And Greg Popovich and the Spurs, this is a last-ditch effort to meet with Kawhi, try to reconcile things in the summertime because, oh boy, it looked like things were going to be raptured, okay? So this is the last-ditch effort. The Spurs meet up with Kawhi just to talk things out, just to see, are we on the same page or not, bro? And seeing that it was in San Diego where I think Kawhi is living at that point, hey, man, it seems like Kawhi's already thinking about his next destination. Oh, boy.
They must do everything in their power to make all the highlight reels. He just helps you win championships. They must do everything in their power, even if they believe it's a lost cause, to do their due diligence to see if there's a way they can salvage the relationship and keep him on the team.
I think the Spurs are wasting their time here, Max. I disagree with you. I understand where you're coming from, and on its face, obviously, you take that approach. But from what my sources tell me, Kawhi Leonard met with Greg Popovich face-to-face, looked him dead in his face, and told him, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in San Antonio. Face-to-face, looked him dead in his face, and told him, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in San Antonio any longer.
The big headline here, Kawhi wants to leave the Spurs, prefers trade to Lakers. Oh, no. Are the Lakers going to get Kawhi and LeBron James on the same team? I'm not going to lie. A super team is about to be formed in LA? Yeah, this is the worst possible scenario.
And by all accounts, everywhere that I've searched, he is absolutely positively going to become a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. You know what? Let me take that back. I should tell you LA. He wants to be in LA.
And what ESPN calls here a Spurs-picked storm seems to be boiling over at this point. Kawhi wants to be closer to home in LA. That's understandable. But the Spurs, will they do their due diligence for Kawhi and actually send him there if they do end up splitting? And now it's not a matter of if, but when other teams are going to trade for Kawhi Leonard because he has one more year remaining on his contract. And I'm sure there's teams out there that are going to take full advantage of the disgruntled star in Kawhi Leonard. Are you trading Lonzo if you're the Lakers? Are you trading Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram? I mean, there's a lot of teams. You may have lottery picks involved. Trades that can be made to get a player that a year ago was a superstar, was competing with LeBron James as the best player in the world. I think you could point to both sides as, to how they handle this. Ultimately, what we're seeing with Kawhi in this situation is a microcosm of what we're seeing with Kawhi throughout his career. It seems like he doesn't have trust. There always seems to be questions of Kawhi's true intentions. There always seems to be questions of what Kawhi is really going through. What is he up to? Because of how little he says, right? And it's something that I think a lot of people have started to get tired of.
I think there's nothing but excuses going on. So first it was, well, I was misdiagnosed. Look here, you got $18 million this year. And you think that they're trying to rush you? You didn't play, for the most part, a full season this year.
And it seems like people around the Spurs organization are fed up, right? Even those outside of it that aren't directly associated with them anymore.
You're the go-to guy. You're the franchise, and you want to say that they didn't have your best interest at heart? Are you kidding me? David Robinson had a back situation. Tim Duncan had a knee situation. Those guys were franchise players, and they made sure they took care of those guys the right way. They're building around Kawhi Leonard. Now you don't participate. I feel like there were excuses there, and now it's just one excuse after another.
We're hearing people from the media now try to blast Kawhi Leonard for being a quote-unquote diva.
That wants to be the leader and have people come play with him.
What part of Kawhi Leonard's behavior in the last year and every story that's come out in the last several weeks says anything about this dude having any of the qualities that a leader is supposed to have? You don't talk, you don't defend yourself. Now you got stories coming out that you're coming off as an obnoxious diva. You don't want to go play with LeBron because you want to be the top dog. You are the top dog for a team and an organization that has done really well for many, many years, that you don't have the respect and you have the audacity to try to ignore, and you continue to cash those $18 million checks. I'm so over this dude. The city of San Antonio is over this dude. You can go as soon as they get whatever they want for you. But if you think you're just going to walk out of there and get your way because you've thrown this little spoiled hissy fit and become one of the most unlikable characters, I've never seen a heel turn like this in a way that is not enjoyable. Like, you are no longer a person I root for. You are someone who has just shown every quality of a spoiled, entitled person, and you don't even have the strength to speak for yourself. Like, what are you doing with your career?
Kawhi seems to be a very pivotal piece for the Lakers, thinking-wise, that if they sign Kawhi Leonard, that means they can get LeBron in free agency. If they can trade for Kawhi Leonard, that means LeBron James is on the table for sure. But now reports are saying Kawhi Leonard, he don't want to play with LeBron James. He apparently favors the Clippers. If he were to go to LA, he would go there. Kawhi don't want to be a D-way to his LeBron. He want to be an alpha. He want to be his own guy. That's what the reports are suggesting, at least. Now, of all the teams listed here in this, graphic here, none of them actually ended up trading for Kawhi Leonard during this summer. And I guess some of us should have seen this coming. I mean, the Spurs, they have a history of great success, but you can also tell with that success comes pride. And these dudes are prideful, man. With a split like this, I don't think they want to do by Kawhi. They're going to be petty on their way out.
It's one of the oddest situations I think I've seen since I've been in pro basketball.
Spurs legend David Robinson reacting to the Kawhi situation. Very interesting.
He's a hard guy to understand. He's a hard guy to read.
This is one thing about Kawhi that has made the situation way more difficult than it should have been.
Was there a point you ever spoke to Kawhi about all this or reached out to him? I know you're still around the team somewhat.
Has anybody spoke to Kawhi about this? I mean, I talked to his uncle. I mean, does that count?
Really?
He's a hard guy. I mean, he's just quiet. He doesn't, I've reached out to him several times and just never hear anything back from him. I think the whole time he's been here, I've talked to him maybe a handful of times, and I can count on one hand how many words he's really said to me. So he's just a quiet guy, and I think that's made it difficult, I think, for all parties to really understand each other.
Seems like a lot of people, they're just caught up on the fact that this guy Kawhi Leonard hasn't said anything to try to make things easier for everybody to understand.
I really have no reason to doubt him. And that's the problem when you don't talk.
Do you feel like Kawhi can be a superstar if he continues to be so introverted like this?
When you're this quiet of a personality, everybody else tries to fill in the void. Enter Kawhi's uncle, Dennis Robertson.
Kawhi Leonard and his uncle Dennis decided long ago that all of the NBA's rules and regulations do not apply to them.
It goes without saying that Kawhi's uncle is a pretty controversial dude, and none of this exemplifies it more than the headlines we had in 2019. He has a background in banking, he has his own marketing business, he wants to emulate LeBron James and his marketing firm. I could talk about the injury saga in 2018 with the Spurs and Uncle Dennis's name being brought up for the first time to many people's eyes. And, the Spurs fans, they forever hated Uncle Dennis since then.
Uncle Dennis is at it again, blaming the Spurs for Kawhi Leonard wanting to trade because they did not believe Leonard was injured.
This is said right after the Raptors vanquished the Bucks in 6 games to make it to their first NBA Finals appearance. Uncle Dennis spoke to the media as soon as the Raptors clinched their berth in the NBA Finals. Uncle Dennis via Yahoo Sports saying to Chris Haynes at the time, "I think it just became a lack of trust. They didn't believe Kawhi can play, and that caused a lack of trust in us, and then us not believing in them." Basically saying the Spurs should have no reason to distrust Kawhi Leonard. And because of that, that's when the relationship can recover, right?
What do you think of the latest comments from Uncle Dennis?
I don't really care what Uncle Dennis has to say, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not impressed with what he's done or what he said.
Now, of course, this is local news from San Antonio, right? These guys are fans of the Spurs, so obviously they're going to be biased.
As a Spurs fan, who do you cheer for in the NBA Finals, the Warriors or the Raptors? I say neither, but that's just me.
Hey, man, I can't blame them, bro. It be like that sometimes. And sadly for Spurs fans, Kawhi and the Raptors ended up winning the title that year. And of course, the Claw, he was on top of the world.
What's with the plant, man? Where'd you get that?
It's a housewarming gift for Kawhi.
Oh, I see.
He's staying.
Does he know this yet?
I'm waiting for him. I'm waiting. Have you seen him?
I'm sure this guy caught wind of, Kawhi and his love for trees.
Well, when you see him, tell him I got a housewarming gift. Tell him I love him.
I will. What kind of plant is that?
Tell him thank you for the shot.
What kind of plant is that?
It's a plant for Kawhi. It's a Kawhi plant.
It's poetic. He calls the plant a Kawhi cactus, Kawhi-ctus. I guess since Kawhi might be homesick, this would be a great housewarming gift for somebody that would love to see some sunshine. Felt like everything was aligning for him as free agency was coming to a head. Of course, I remember the time the helicopters were going crazy, right? People were trying to track where he was at in Toronto and LA. One guy apparently put $10,000 bet on July 2nd that the Lakers would win a championship. And the last time something like that happened, 30 minutes later, AD to the Lakers trade got reported. Coincidence? I think not. Kawhi and his representatives, they flipped the script on the Lakers and even the Raptors, and he ended up being a Clipper. And he managed to get Paul George traded to the Clippers as well. In what is a poetic circle moment where Kawhi Leonard and Paul George finally being teammates. They could have been teammates when the Pacers were actually thinking long and hard about drafting Kawhi Leonard. Pacers had Kawhi very high in their draft board, and they were shocked that they were even able to have a chance at picking them at 15. But they had wings on the team with Denny Granger and Paul George being selected the year prior. And at that point, they were thinking, you know what? We might not need Kawhi services after all. And so the Pacers, they had a chance to draft 2 guys back-to-back years who, from the same hometown, who actually grew up and played against each other in AAU circuits. But the Pacers didn't want to draft too many wings, and so they decided instead to trade for a point guard in George Hill.
Crazy thing is, I've heard complaints in the days after the signing. Heard complaints from the Lakers that they got played. I heard complaints from the Raptors that, Kawhi came in and asked for the sun, the moon, the stars, and then left him at the altar.
Both the Lakers and Raptors felt like they got played. One report said that Kawhi's camp was making unreasonable requests to the Raptors. This was reported by TSN's Josh Lewenberg at the time. Leonard's camp, most notably his uncle Dennis, was making unreasonable requests during their negotiations. Another article coming out around that time, the Lakers reportedly felt played by Kawhi Leonard.
I kind of think they were all still in the game, and they all felt like they were still in the game. If Toronto did not still feel like they were in the game, they would not have sent the plane for him. They would not have done the big presentation. If the Lakers didn't think that they were still in the game, they would not have delayed the Anthony Davis trade like they did to try to wait to see if they could get him. And if the Clippers didn't think they were in the, if the Clippers thought that they had him locked up, they would not have given up 5 first-round picks to get Paul George. They just wouldn't have.
And because of how this whole free agency saga was handled by Kawhi and friends, well, apparently the NBA Board of Governors meeting was going to be heated. There was so much uproar over what just happened in free agency that the league had to open an investigation around all the things that happened around the time.
Kawhi play the Lake Show?
No, he didn't. They played themselves, all right? Especially the Lakers.
Do the Lakers and Raptors look like sore losers here? And yes, I
apologize for subjecting you to this dude's face. I know, it's sad. Yeah, the media wasn't exactly sympathetic to the Lakers and Raptors at the time. The media felt like it was just them screaming sour grapes after, failing to land Kawhi in free agency.
So when someone already lies to a Kawhi Leonard and leaks, why are you going to believe him now? Because everything else that follows that must be in the same camp of lying. So I'm sorry to say it. They're just making up story now to put him into a camp that maybe LeVar Ball exists, Uncle Dennis. Let's try to portray him in a different light.
And because of all that outrage, there was a push by the NBA to be more strict and add, rules against tampering. The changes weren't really changes as much as it was just increased fines, increased scrutiny on, tampering, that there would be bookkeeping, right, to where they could record, get more information on things that happen behind the scenes in free agency and whatnot. There would be random audits that the NBA could conduct during those time as well. Just ensuring that there's more transparency from the agents and players sides and the NBA team sides so that the tampering could be prevented as much as they can. And when it was nearing Christmas time, the Lakers and Clippers matched up against each other. An updated story broke that Kawhi's uncle was asking the Lakers and the Raptors for illegal inducements. Whoa. Which you can see the lower third included part ownership of a team, a private plane, a house, and guaranteed endorsement money. This is from a story from The Athletic written by Sam Amick. And obviously, all those items, like it says here, would fall well outside the confines of the league's collective bargaining agreement. I think a juicier part was, his interaction with the Lakers, right? Where apparently Uncle Dennis made those requests repeatedly to the owner, Jeannie Buss, over the course of 3 phone calls that spent several days. And she made it clear that such perks were illegal and would not be considered. A lot of this stuff was just making the Spurs fans feel more and more vindicated from all those years ago. Now, Adam Silver's league office, they investigated it and they found no evidence of any wrongdoing. Interesting. Now, we'll say Max does raise an interesting point that, people say today about the recent use of Kawhi.
Consequence of making rules that are basically unfair, like capping what the players can make, like prohibition, is that you get what's called a black market. You get an underground economy. And that's what's happening now. And to your point,
what's the black market here?
Private plane use, little side deals. Here's the consequence. This is what you said earlier. Prove it. How are you going to prove it?
Of course, in an article that I referenced prior from Sports Illustrated, it did highlight some of the challenges, which are quite obvious with these rules, right? That, for instance, there's privacy concerns with really access to, teams, private information such as emails and texts. Adam Silver and NBA just cannot know every single minute detail by accessing those files, right? And so again, it makes it harder for the NBA to really, prove wrongdoing actually did occur. So a lot of this does feel like grandstanding from the NBA's part.
So Adam Silver can look at it, but the investigation turned up. Well, let me ask you your personal opinion. You think that Uncle Dennis was looking for side deals? I think, yeah, sure. If he knows what he's doing, right?
Of course he does.
Did the investigation turn up anything?
No, it didn't turn up anything, but is Kawhi Leonard getting those things?
You can't really stop
Is Kawhi Leonard getting those things?
I don't know.
You can monitor whether or not he's getting those things.
Well, you can monitor whether he gets a piece of the team, but you can't monitor handshake agreements. Right. Like, you can't.
It's the whole argument, of just, there's nothing you can prove, so really they can get away with anything, it feels like, right? Kawhi Leonard can say whatever he wants to the media, but behind the scenes, the NBA has, little ways to try to really prove that he did anything shady.
I don't know. I didn't read it, so I don't know how reliable it is. I mean, I don't have no knowledge of it. I just said I have no knowledge of it, so people make up stories every day.
It is Silver's league, right? So he could, be harsh here, but I guess, if you really can't prove that they did any wrongdoing, I mean, just let them off scot-free, I guess. And Stephen A. Smith, he addressed the concerns that some people had that maybe the Clippers, were getting some stuff under the table for Kawhi to really sweeten the deal, in which he addressed this in what could be one of his best quotes.
You've got teams right now playing games with one another, talking about, they're trying to point the finger at the Clippers, saying, let's ask about what the Clippers did to get Kawhi Leonard. I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
At one point, Uncle Dennis is like, why can't you give us a stake of the team just like y'all gave Magic Johnson with the Lakers? And those two situations couldn't be any more different. I mean, Magic Johnson, this was at the time he was retiring, right, from the NBA because he had contracted HIV. And so, the Lakers, they still had money to pay him. And because they felt concerned for his and his family's, well-being at the time, they gave him a stake to the franchise so that they can, ensure that he's more financially secure. It was one of those things that, probably got him laughed off the phone by Jeannie Buss.
If you get into business, if you decide to get into business with people who are consistently shady, I don't know how much you deserve the benefit of the doubt when things come up that look really shady.
Now, I do want to go back to the Raptors' tenure with Kawhi Leonard, because one thing I want to briefly talk about is that window in Kawhi's career where he actually ended up winning a championship in Toronto. Many people would think, you know what? They got lucky. They got the 1 year where Kawhi had his peak playoff run, right? But there were things that Toronto did that facilitated this, though.
Kawhi, you've added new terms to our English language this year.
One of the terms that we have been introduced to this year is load management.
I remember when the Raptors, were load managing Kawhi Leonard. Oh, that was the word of the year, right? And a lot of fans, right, a decent amount, were actually very concerned about that. They didn't like that Kawhi was resting a lot of these games. 40% of them saying yes, they're worried about Kawhi load managing.
I'm not concerned. I think at the end of the day, what is load management? It's rest.
Shout out to Matty D here, who actually explains this really well, right? The load management, quote unquote, right? They're ramping this dude up for the playoffs.
It's not necessarily about the regular season. It ultimately is about the postseason. So does he get to about 60 games this season? I would think that would probably be the number. What would that mean? That would mean that he would play 16 of the final 21 games.
And what's funny is people criticize load management, right? For years, people have criticized it. But load management is what is actually needed to be done when a guy's coming off a major injury and you want to make sure he gets acclimated to where he could play in a postseason setting where, he's not taking days off. And if you're a team like the Raptors, who are still pretty good without Kawhi, load managing is actually the most logical answer. The incentives that the NBA gives you, right, is that you need to make sure you're at your best when April, May, and June hits. That's when you need to be at your best. Some of the wins, some of the losses in the season, it hurts, it's great, right? You cheer on the wins, you get sad at the losses. But what's most important is for Kawhi to be able to play when it matters most. I think even children can explain you this concept, right? That's how simple it is. And with him playing 60 of the 82 games, he's played enough of a sample to where he actually got himself into some awards. And thankfully, he got some of these awards, right? All NBA second team that year, all defensive second team that year, obviously a top 10 in MVP votes, and a top 6 in DPOY votes as well. Did the Raptors get lucky? Yes. But guess what? You have to make your own luck as well for things to actually go your way. And that's what they did with load managing him. And I know the NBA circles were heated when they saw that it worked.
But there was too much the other way, in my opinion. Like, how could you vote for, Kawhi Leonard is a terrific player, but who on earth would have voted for him for MVP this year the way that for the amount of games that he set out?
What's more important to the Raptors, and certainly, the Raptors.
I understand all that, but I just, to me, if you're the face of the franchise, you should want to play.
Well, that is more of the issue.
It's funny when people try to say Kawhi doesn't want to play. Like, what do you mean he doesn't want to play? He wants to make sure he can play when it matters most. If it means that he can actually play every playoff game, then he'll do that. And that's what he did that year. Like, it worked. The load management actually paid off.
So when you are sitting him for, I think it was almost 25% of the game.
It just was crazy.
Right? Then the reason they did it is now. He's averaging 40 a game in this series. But the problem is he's the guy everyone's paying those tickets for.
Now, although this is an entirely new concept, right? The Raptors winning a championship shows that there's a proof of concept here that actually works. But this goes against the NBA's interest of having players play in every game that they can play when healthy. So now the NBA has to make sure this doesn't become the new meta.
With the load management stuff, just coming into the season, said it a million times, I still wasn't, to where I needed to be with my right knee. And they seen what I was feeling, took our time, laid out the schedule, treatment days, rehab days I could do throughout the season. And, this is why I'm able to play now. I feel like, or we felt like, if I played that whole season, I probably wouldn't even be playing right now.
That last statement alone puts into question the 82-game season format as a concept that the NBA really should change. With Kawhi winning a championship, only playing 60 games. Oh boy, Adam Silver had a lot to answer for.
Take your temperature on another position here, the 82-game regular season. There's been calls to shorten it. This year you had one of the top superstars in the game, Kawhi Leonard, basically take things into his own hands, right? He only played about 3/4 of his team's game. It's paying off for him and how well he's playing in the postseason. Do you think some other players are going to look at that and try to copy that? Do you have to take steps yourself to shorten the season before the players do it for you?
No, I don't think other players are going to want to copy Kawhi, because remember,
he missed almost the entire last season. So I view that very differently. That's not rest, load management, that's recovery. I mean, he was coming off, a very serious, again, almost full season injury. So that's something separate.
Although this is true, I think Adam Silver said this mainly to downplay the impact that load management had in him winning a championship. And when he addressed the 82-game season question, it starts to make sense as to why the NBA looks like the way it does today.
In terms of an 82-game season, I think there's nothing magical about that number. We've been playing 82 games since roughly the mid-60s. I think the bigger issue, putting aside the absolute length of the season, is there a better way, format-wise, to create a season? It may be when you look at European soccer, for example, they have, in essence, tournaments within the tournament. Something I've talked about before. Should there be a mid-season tournament? Should there be a play-in tournament? For going into the playoffs. I think the issue is that in this day and age, you've got to keep people interested. You've got to keep people engaged. And it may be that if we're going to play a season that begins in mid-October and goes roughly till mid-June, there's a better way of composing the season as opposed to just shortening it.
But even with all the changes the NBA has added to the season format, the result still ends the same. They can't play 82 games. It's impossible with the pace of play these days. It just can't happen. But the argument does go the other way. The Raptors could have easily lost that year, and Kawhi ended up in the Clippers uniform still. And that maybe Kawhi Leonard, he's just cursed, right? Kawhi Leonard, man, it's unfortunate that he can't play these games, but you just got to stay healthy, right? You just got to stay healthy. But when you see more and more people, more and more players start to get hurt now, what's the line now? What is the question that we're supposed to ask ourselves? I remember when Chris Haynes tweeted out this, lawsuit thread filed by Kawhi's personal trainer, basically alleging that there was tampering from the Clippers organization in the past to try to recruit Kawhi. Like, what this trainer lawsuit that we saw in 2024 reveals to me isn't so much of the wrongdoings, quote unquote, that either side committed. No, it's so much so that the NBA franchises over the years have shifted the blame for a lot of this to players. Load management policy, player participation policy, 65-game rules. It's on the players to play more games. And it's a narrative that I've even pushed. It's a narrative that is so contagious, right? Because putting the onus on the players, they make the most money. They're the easy targets. They're the ones we see every day playing basketball or not playing basketball, which is when we get angry. That's the thing, though. Those players can only do so much when now it's actually getting harder to stay on the floor without tearing a ligament in the calf or a ligament in the hamstring. Muscle tears are becoming more frequent now, and there doesn't seem to be a way for the NBA or for the players or for anybody to address it whilst playing an 82-game season.
The NBA investigating allegations made against LA Clippers team and consultant Jerry West involving the free agency recruitment of Kawhi Leonard in 2019.
What's crazy is there was a lawsuit filed in 2020 about this as well by another guy that was actually working alongside Kawhi's uncle and Jerry West, who was obviously an advisor for the Clippers.
How well do you know Johnny Wilkes, and did he play any role in your recruitment to this team, your decision to join this team in 2019?
Not at all. That has nothing to do with me. I'm from LA, and I grew up here my whole life, and out here, people try to, find any way to get some money. So it probably won't be the last. I know a lot of people out here.
But a recent update to this lawsuit in 2022, they dismissed every charge that was laid. This was a statement that the Los Angeles Superior Court Judge John Takasugi laid out here from the case. The statements are too vague and uncertain to support a claim that Mr. West, either in his personal capacity on behalf of the Clippers, promised to pay plaintiff $2.5 million for his help.
I think there's an acknowledgement across the league that we need to return to that principle, that this is an 82-game league.
Yes, this was 2023 during the offseason. Adam Silver implementing what is now called the player participation policy. 82 games in which, if you're healthy, you're expected to play, especially if you're a star player, right?
And that, of course, doesn't mean that we're turning the clock back, that players are expected to play through injuries, or that players, frankly, never need rest. But I think there's a statement of a principle that if you're a healthy player in this league, that the expectation is that you're going to play.
For the purpose of this policy, a star is roughly defined as a player who has been named to both an All-NBA and an All-Star appearance at least once during the prior 3 seasons. Interesting stuff. As of this season, here are the qualified names to be considered star players. As you can see, Kawhi Leonard is still qualified as a star even to this day in the 26th season. But I think a big problem with this policy is that it also punishes players for being hurt. This was 23 media day. One reporter even asked him, how are you going to make sure you stay healthy, for this, duration of the season?
Stay healthy as you can throughout the course of the regular season.
And I think it doesn't take, a rocket scientist to put together that this policy is targeted at certain players like Kawhi Leonard.
Same thing I've been doing. It's a matter of if you're going to trip on somebody. A lot of my injuries last year, I stepped on somebody's foot or run into somebody. So we got to control what we can control and, get the treatments that we can at the times, listen to your body and keep moving and see what happens.
And when being asked about the actual policy in place, right, Kawhi has some very interesting, things to say about it.
Would love to hear your thoughts on the new NBA player participation policy.
What are they?
Just, I know that you've gotten a lot of flack for, load management and just, only resting certain players, in certain situations. So just would love to hear your thoughts on that.
I just don't know the policy. What is the policy, though?
Well, that was a swing and miss from the reporter. Well, she had another chance to ask another question, and another question she did ask.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a different question if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Cool. No, it's totally okay. Just would love to know how you're feeling and if you did anything differently in the off season that maybe you hadn't tried in previous off seasons.
You try different stuff every year. Every year is a new journey. So every day. So you do new things, but you gotta, just keep going. There's nothing new that happens. You're either going to get hurt or you're just going to be lucky enough to, play games throughout the playoffs or the whole regular season. So, with that being said, if you're not injured, people play basketball. So, nobody isn't just trying to get to a certain amount of games or, at least me. I'm not trying to get to a certain amount of games. I'm trying to play the games that I could play. And if I'm hurt, I can't play basketball. So.
And Kawhi countered to the narratives. He says he plays the games when he's healthy.
If I'm hurt, I can't play basketball. So the last 2 years been unfortunately for me. I got hurt, tore my ACL. Then at the end of the year, tore my meniscus. And that's just basketball. I'm a two-way player. Play hard, so injuries are going to come up. I'm not out there just walking around. I play both ends of the floor. I see the best players on both ends every night. Either I'm guarding the best player or the best player is guarding me. So whatever happens with that happens. Yeah, if injury comes, that's what happens. I'm an NBA.
That's about as vocal as I've ever seen from Kawhi, honestly. It's quite interesting. Kawhi even addresses his time with the Raptors where, people claim that, he was just resting those games where he was load managing. And Kawhi, setting the narrative straight.
In regards to the league policy, I think the gist of it is that they want their top 50 stars out on the floor every night if possible. And given that, I'm just wondering if you feel an obligation to play every game.
No, I'm not a guy that's sitting down because I'm doing a load management. When I was with the Raptors, it was different. I was coming from an injury. And you have to know the details of a doctor. But if the league is seeing or trying to mock what I did with the Raptors, then they should stop because I was injured during that whole year. But other than that, if I'm able to play, I play basketball. I work out every day in the summertime to play the game, not to sit and watch people play. No. So no league policy is helping me to play more games.
I think this policy mainly serves for the commissioner and the board of office to blame this on the players, put the onus on the players for why injuries are piling up in the NBA, right? Make it so that the players are the ones that are pointed the finger at, even though they have legit reasons for them not to be playing some of these games where in the playoffs, hey, it's the different story. Even players know this. When Darius Garland had that turf toe during last year's playoffs, many people were questioning why he's even playing.
What the team has said to me is that this is a significant concern, this injury. If this was the regular season, I can report Darius Garland would have been shut down for at least a week to 2 weeks. The way it was described to me is the amount of pain that Garland's dealing with in that toe makes it difficult for him to push off, for him to gain any leverage like he typically does on the court.
Listen, a toe injury is significant, can be very painful. I understand that.
Clearly you don't.
As far as I'm concerned, you got to be damn near crippled if you can't play. You got to be damn near crippled if you can't play. You got to find a way to get out there. Because last night, Nembhard and Halliburton combined for 45 points, like 19 assists.
Like, this might be the type of stuff the NBA league office is listening to. Like, they're listening to Stephen A. like, yeah, damn right. These players need to be held accountable. Yeah.
They're getting guard play in Indiana. Donovan Mitchell needs help, period. Because whether it's Ty Jerome, whether it's Strus or somebody.
Stephen A. Smith is an agent of chaos. He's a demon working for ESPN. Bro, I'm not going to lie, bro. I was going to try to keep it professional throughout this video. It's actually hard for me to do so, bro. This guy is so nasty, bro. It's so gross, bro. Like, bro, we know what he's capable of. We know how good Garland can be when healthy. Unfortunately, he's just not healthy and he's hurt and he's still playing. And guess what? He's still catching shit from the media. It doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter for these dudes that whether or not you're hurt, you're still cannon fodder for these media heads, bro. It's so funny that this policy got put in place and was targeting guys like Kawhi, where these guys had legit reasons for not playing some of these games. Paul George hyperextended his knee in the middle of the season in the game that both he and Kawhi played in and were actually playing decent, but lost by 1 point.
In your opinion, what was going on during that play?
I got the rebound, right? And I see him like swipe to try to get the ball, but like is out of his rebounding area. I got the ball. So I come down and like, I feel his knee hit mine. And then immediately I just felt my leg just go back. So automatically I dropped the ball. Fuck that. Drop this shit.
Now, thankfully for the Clippers, the injury wasn't as significant.
I think at least 3 weeks for Paul George.
I mean, he did have to miss the rest of the season. But so now entering the playoffs, right? Kawhi is healthy, but Paul George is not healthy, right? And for valid reason, right? This guy literally just hyperextended his knee. He had to sit out.
There's some hope, some optimism that if the Clippers could get in the playoffs, if they could advance, there's a scenario potentially where Paul George could return.
And now, even though he didn't return for this playoffs, Kawhi was manning himself up as the lead MVP of this series so far, where, quite frankly, he was playing both sides of the ball, two-way player. Game 1, he has 38 points, in part thanks to Kawhi, but also in large part thanks to heroics from Westbrook. Westbrook, a recently acquired player from the Clippers, you could see the emotions pouring out. And the performance that Kawhi put up made you think, oh, he's back, isn't he? Oh, boy.
I had Jamal Crawford on yesterday, and I said, how do you think history is going to remember Kawhi Leonard? And he said, not one of the top 5 players regular season, but one of the top 5 players of his generation postseason.
The days of Kawhi Leonard playing 65 regular season games or more are probably gone. But you get into the playoffs, and you could probably count on a couple of fingers, maybe, how many guys you might take over Kawhi in a 7-game series.
And in game 2, despite the loss, Kawhi still scoring 31 points and defending KD like we saw in that previous clip. And he was shooting like a 68% true shooting on the 2 games he played on the road in Phoenix. I mean, this guy was just spectacular. And even after the loss, Kawhi wasn't fazed much.
Kawhi, I gotta ask about the mid-range shots that the Suns made. It's not like y'all are...
Why does that shit say Joe Mazzulla? This is not Joe Mazzulla. Are we serious? Oh, come on.
And after these, now that you've had 2 games, how do you guys feel as you head back to LA about where you guys are at in the series?
I'm in a good place. We split on the road, so we gotta go back home and try to protect our home floor.
But unfortunately, it was not all good news for Kawhi and the Clippers.
If you remember in 2019, Kawhi Leonard played all 24 postseason games for the Toronto Raptors. Since that time, Kawhi Leonard has played 26 total playoff games for the Clippers.
So Kawhi was ruled out of this Game 3 due to a knee sprain. Yeah, man, things are not looking so good now for the Clippers.
I don't know how many people going to say this, Big Perk, but I'm going to say it.
And Stephen A. Smith, well, he's just had enough. He's sick of it. He has something to say to all of us.
Kawhi Leonard should be on the list of one of the worst superstars this game has ever seen. That's right, I said it. Because anybody that watches basketball knows I'm obviously not talking about his skills.
And cue the Stephen A. Smith platitudes where he tries to compliment the player before he goes and actually says what he actually thinks about the player.
He is that dude. But when you talk about a superstar that is unreliable, I want somebody to point me out somebody more flagrant than him.
I'm looking at this and I find it hard for me to, pinpoint this and try to say Kawhi's the worst superstar. I mean, he's hurt. Like, he can't play. Clearly, he's trying to play and he just can't. I think most people, when they saw this, they were like, yo, Stephen A. Smith, you're going too far, bro. Even though there might be some truth to what he says, it's just too much.
But all of this, the load management, not playing, all that other stuff, Chris, doesn't amount to anything.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. He still wound up getting hurt.
Right.
If that's the conclusion people came up with seeing him hurt there, that's not the right conclusion, right? Because it obviously did work in Toronto, right? It's just obviously it's a gamble. I think Chris also said it in this one that, the load management, right? Kawhi needs to load manage considering his knees are degenerating.
And I was told this, and I think I said it on the show, that among all the load management, I have heard from people around the league that with Kawhi, it's needed. Like, if he was to try to play every game or every back-to-back, his knees just couldn't take it.
And that's just a sad reality. I mean, he's on the same boat as Embiid. It's unfortunate that that's where we're at right now with Kawhi Leonard, where, yeah, he would miss the rest of the series, and Stephen A. Smith was not letting up on Kawhi here.
I just have to say it. I'm sick of Kawhi Leonard.
This guy's on his personal podcast slandering Kawhi even more. This guy hates him.
Sick of Kawhi Leonard. I'm sick of him. Seriously. Why don't you just retire? I mean, the dude blackmails the Clippers into moving heaven and earth to acquire Paul George because he was threatening to go to the Lakers if they didn't do what he wanted when they were trying to get him from his 1 year stint in Toronto after winning the title there. They gave him everything he wanted. All the money, manicures, pedicures, helicopter rides, private planes, and they gave him everything.
Oh, so now you care about Kawhi, blackmailing the Clippers, right? Trying to, play both sides, trying to get the Raptors and Lakers to basically give up the sun and the moon. Now you care about that? When you told us in 2019, we don't care, right? That's funny. That's interesting.
This is Stephen A. talking. And I'd rather have Kyrie Irving than Kawhi Leonard.
And it's like he's got all this energy. He's huffing and puffing. He's trying to say Kawhi's the worst thing since sliced bread.
What's your update on Kawhi?
He's not practicing today. He's getting treatment.
In the case of Kawhi Leonard, I stand alone probably on this, but I don't care. I think the man should retire. I'm sick of these injuries to Kawhi Leonard. And now he can't go for a game 4 after missing all of last season and everything else. It's just, I'm just speaking for the city of L.A. I'm telling you, this is how a lot of people feel. It's just the latest, man. It's a damn shame.
And that's one thing that gets me with Stephen. He thinks he's speaking on behalf of the Clippers, Ty Lue, all these. You're not speaking on behalf of anybody else but yourself, bro. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers are not pointing a finger, trying to say, Kawhi, it's your fault. Bro, you're ass. Bro, you're the worst superstar. No. They're saying it sucks. It's unfortunate, but things like this happen.
When you're the leader of the team, you got to make sure that, everyone is in positive and good spirits, but you can't listen to the outside noise, which I never do anyway.
And you could tell how frustrating a lot of this is for Ty Lue, bro. He's having to hear it from the outside. He's having to hear it from, people that have no knowledge of what's going on in the locker room, inside the training centers and all that. Kawhi's hurt. He's genuinely hurt. And now he's having to hear people say, oh, he's the worst superstar in the league. It's just stupid.
But, he's definitely hurt. Like, it's not load management where he's taking time off, He's shown, in the past that he's played through injuries in the playoffs. And so if it's something he can't play through, then, it has to be pretty serious. And so we're not talking about he's sitting out because he's load management or he's tired or nothing like that. Like it's a actual thing, So what the outside is saying, like, who cares?
But this is just inviting the hate train on Kawhi and the Clippers. And I get it. It's frustrating. I was frustrated as somebody that roots for Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, he won a championship for my team, the Raptors. The thing is, though, we still just haven't seen him reach that full echelons that we seen him reach in 2019, despite playing through injuries even then. That's what's so frustrating about the narrative that load management doesn't work. It literally did for Toronto. And now, people are trying to rewrite history about it. It's like, what are y'all talking about? Things happen, though, to where, sometimes the gamble just doesn't pay off. It happens. And all that frustration, right, it bubbles up to the following season where Kawhi Leonard, right, he doesn't play in too many games yet, but he does play some of the games during the season. He doesn't look too bad. He has some good stretches. And then all of a sudden, the Clippers, they re-up on another extension for Kawhi Leonard. I guess Steve Ballmer has renewed faith in the Claw. A 3-year, $153 million extension for the Claw. It's beautiful. This season has really been an impressive showing for Kawhi, where some of his numbers have, been really the best that we've seen since quite some time, right? And to sign one, right, in January of 2024 at this point, why would you sign it in the middle of the season? Why not wait until the playoffs to see if Kawhi can actually play in every game, unlike what he did in the previous playoffs?
Okay, there's really nothing to pinpoint a specific date on it. It was just time to do it, and then it just happened.
There's a number of other guys on this team, Paul and James, who have some options or free agency coming up. I'm curious how much of the decision that you guys made, the agreement, also factored in their free agencies or potential options, extensions, stuff like that?
Now, you also got Paul George, who's on a player option coming up. James Harden's going to be a free agent. Russell Westbrook, who was on the team through a buyout, right? He's going to have a player option. Kawhi, getting him inked up was, I think, the biggest thing the Clippers needed to do before heading into the offseason. What this shows you, obviously, is that the Clippers, they're still invested in Kawhi, and they're also planning to, re-up on Paul George with another extension for him. So they are invested in this duo. They still want to win with those guys, despite how tough things have been since he's signed with the Clippers, right?
I think for the most part, everybody is coming back. So with me signing an extension, I think it gives us a chance to sign both of those players.
And in the 2024 playoffs, the Clippers would play a fearsome foe of Luka and Kyrie, who have given the Clippers problems in the past.
I believe he finished 17 from 21 from the field. Buckets everywhere. Field goal percentage, 81%. 6 for 9 from 3. I don't know what he drinks. He's got that, what is it in Space Jam, that super juice? That super juice whenever he plays the Clippers. Why does Luka, something green. Why does Luka do this time and time again, Perk, to this team? You good?
No, I'm not good.
What?
Didn't I tell you? You got a hard head, huh? Didn't I tell you every time you play against me to strap your shoes up? Didn't I tell you? That's what Luka Doncic does to the Clippers every single time.
Yo, somebody tell K Perk here to fucking put his belt back on. I don't know if them pants can handle the weight. Yo, he's sitting back down too? Oh, hell no. Yo, somebody please tell this dude. Oh, my. Yo, wardrobe malfunction alert. Oh, my God.
Let me say this.
I'm going to need some Can I see that belt?
You can see the belt. It's not designer, but that's what he gave him, a designer, a whipping with a designer belt tonight. The Clippers ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Now, I will say, DJ Khaled, bro, you probably should get the same Taylor Kendrick hits, bro. I'm not going to lie. You be looking fly as hell. I'm telling you right now, bro.
Bummer, though, for the Los Angeles Clippers. Woj reporting that all signs are pointing to Kawhi Leonard being out for this Game 1, Stephen A.
Oh, yeah, Stephen A. about to go on one. I could tell he's getting ready to assault the microphones with Kawhi Leonard slander. Oh, man.
Because you're not, I don't care what defense you come up with, you ain't stopping Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. That just ain't happening. Speaking of Kawhi Leonard, I just feel I would be remiss in not neglecting to mention this. I don't want to hear about him on no damn Team USA. I mean, you can't even play in a play. You're injured again, just like it was last year. Every time we turn around. Last 5 seasons, Malika, Wilbon, Perk, These are his injuries: knee, foot, back, leg, face, injury management, illness, ankle, abductor, hips, groin. I mean, my Lord, every time you turn around, there's something, okay? I feel bad for the Clippers because, yet again, you need him. If he's on the court, we know what a superstar he is. You can twist this series around. You're not beating the Dallas Mavericks, in my estimation, without Kawhi Leonard.
And that's what gets me with Stephen A. Smith, right? He tries to play the, I feel bad for the Clippers. When it's like, bro, I feel bad for Kawhi as well. Like, why is it that we're not empathetic, right? Or at the very least sympathetic to what Kawhi is going through right now? Like, Kawhi is deserving of the decency, right, that we give to humans that struggle, right? Humans that go through stuff, that suffer.
Injuries happen. That's part of the game. No way of really avoiding it. And so, you know, as much as chemistry, being on the floor together, and playing the best basketball you could possibly play at this point of the season, a lot of it has to do with luck too. You know, I think from the injury standpoint, we've just been unlucky on remaining healthy. But, you know, again, more so focused on the positive. And
I mean, it's got to be frustrating when you're Paul George, you get hurt, and then it's like Kawhi gets hurt the following year. It's like, man, the thing is with luck, man, like, it's just that, bro. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. And obviously, some people may say you create your own luck, right? But I just feel like it's unfair for us to try to characterize these dudes any other way than them just being unlucky.
All indications are, Malika, is that Kawhi Leonard will not return today for Game 1.
And now that Kawhi, we're not even sure if he's playing in this playoff series. It's just unfortunate, man. You would love to get Kawhi at his best, but we're not even sure if we'll even get half of Kawhi at this point if he even does play.
16-4 over their last 20 games, Luka, Kyrie, and the Mavs.
Well, educate me for a quick second. Did Kyrie ever just receive a Kawhi Leonard? I'm sorry. Didn't he just receive a contract extension? Correct me if I'm wrong.
He did.
He did.
3-year deal.
A 3-year deal, huh? A 3-year deal, huh? You know.
Now he's going to complain about Kawhi and his contract and him having a photo up with the USA team.
I said it before and I'm going to say it again. If I'm Steve Ballmer, I'm doing everything to sabotage that. Just this man can't be available for me. Yet again, we're walking into another playoff game and he's not available. I'm not questioning the legitimacy of his injury. I'm just saying, damn, it always happens. I got some numbers, Woj.
Yeah, let's hear Stutter A. Smith here with the numbers.
You'll appreciate where I'm coming from. Do you know since Kawhi Leonard arrived in 2019?
Damn, spit it out. I don't blame him, though. I'd do the same if Malika was staring at me like this, bro. Whew.
He's missed 41% of the Clippers' regular season games, 30% of their playoff games. They're 44-24 with Kawhi, 7-7 without him this regular season, by the way. In his time with the Clippers, they win 66% of the games when he's on the court, 168-87. Without him, they win 48% of their games, 83-89, ain't even a 500 team. He has that kind of a drastic effect on this franchise. We know he's a superstar player. We know how important he is. But what have I said about him all the time? He's damn near never available when you need him.
One thing's for sure, man. This Dallas team is hot. They've had the best record since the trade deadline. They made big moves to get Gafford. Obviously, they got PJ Washington as well, and they're rolling. That's a team that, I'm not going to lie, even with Kawhi, this will be a hard task for the Clippers to beat, even with Kawhi healthy. Now, when Kawhi did return, it was during Game 2, and he really wasn't that good. Kawhi Leonard only scoring 15 points in this game. Now, this ended up being a close game with Dallas, taking the edge here at the end. And Game 3, Kawhi scoring only 9 points. I think he got hurt in this game. It's honestly sad because you know that Kawhi wants to play, and he did play, and he's just not himself.
What a win for the Mavericks.
That's not going to cut if you want to beat this vaunted Mavericks team here. And unfortunately, that will be it for Kawhi. He will not play the rest of the series here in Game 4. Yeah, no Kawhi starting, no Kawhi at all.
How did Kawhi feel coming out of the game?
Well, he's just still dealing with the inflammation and the swelling, so we're monitoring it. Got treatment last night, got treatment this morning, get treatment again tonight, so we just see, like right now he's questionable going to Game 4.
Did he do anything today?
Yeah, I think so.
No contact, just like...
I mean, clearly Kawhi was not close to really being himself. And, just playing him in this Game 4, I don't know if it would have helped. If anything, in a game where the Clippers were actually playing really well without Kawhi, it looked like they were going to blow out the Mavericks and tie this series back 2 apiece. But then the comeback was made, right? The Mavericks were leading late. And then it was Paul George heroics here.
George goes in the corner, falling away. Oh, it's good. Paul George Harden gets inside the floater. Count it and one.
And it was Harden finishing these dudes off in the clutch.
5 on the 24. Harden sees the shot clock. Off the drive. The floater's up. It's good. More Harden heroics here in the fourth. And without Kawhi Leonard, we'll even up this best-of-7 series at 2 games apiece.
And if you're keeping track at home, yeah, that's 2 wins now without Kawhi Leonard playing a single minute. And the other 2 games Kawhi did play were losses, yeah.
But I do think, to your point, that the Clippers are comfortable without him in this series because of the Kawhi that they were getting.
I know there's some heartless people that exist in this world, but how could you not feel bad for this dude?
What have the last few weeks been like as you were trying to ramp up to get to this point right now?
I'm just trying to make sure I could get into the game and play. That's what last week's been about, just trying to get back on the floor.
And you've been able to do much in practice heading into today's game?
Not really. I've just been rehabbing, trying to get on the floor. But we still got more games to play, more time to get better, and that's what I'm focused on.
And I would hate to just, go online and then having to hear people talk about how I don't care about the game. I'm just trying to catch a check. Like, bro, that's ridiculous.
That's what the results are. Frustrating that it happened to me this late in the season, but we're going to keep going. We're going to get it right.
You think you'll be good to go for Sunday?
Yeah, the way right now, I'll see tomorrow. I want to play, so.
It was the GM of the Clippers that had to be the bearer of bad news here.
Kawhi is out today. He's extremely disappointed and frustrated that he's not playing today. He wants to play. But it was obvious in Game 3 that his mobility was severely restricted.
And it was the right call for the Clippers to make. This is the same Mavs team that, ended up actually making it to the finals, too. This is a pretty good Mavs team. And honestly, Kawhi playing those games, he didn't look good. So, better to just rest him at this point and try it again next season. And on the offseason, people were perplexed that Kawhi was, playing for Team USA during the summer when he couldn't even play in the playoffs. Now, I think Kawhi even knew, this was going to be unlikely, and the Clippers pulled him out of Team USA after seeing that, he's just not even close to being able to play.
It was USAB's call, and I was, quite frankly, very disappointed with the decision.
Wait, what? It was the U.S. team call? It wasn't your call?
Kawhi wanted to play. We wanted him to play. I expressed to them, I really wish that they would have given Kawhi more time. He looked good to me. I know all the sacrifices he made in order to make this commitment to the Olympics. So it was very disappointing.
But it's just hard to believe that the Clippers had no say in this decision-making whatsoever.
They watched him practice for 3 days. They didn't think he could get into playing condition. And I know that the Clippers obviously are going to advocate for Kawhi, but let's keep in mind, Ty Lue is on the Team USA coaching staff. His coach is on the Team USA coaching staff. He watched him in those practices. And while it's Grant Hill's decision, certainly if there needed to be an advocate for Kawhi Leonard in Team USA, it would be Ty Lue. So he's protected, and they still let him go.
Now, that wasn't the only interesting part of the Clippers offseason, right? Kawhi withdrawing from Team USA is one thing. Unfortunately, the negotiations fell through, and the Clippers and Paul George could not come to an agreement on a contract extension. So he went and got the bag in Philly. Fairs. But that means the Clippers now had a lot of money now to spend in the future years with Paul George's contracts not being in the books anymore.
The salary cap rules, they don't apply to him. The injury report rules, sure as hell don't apply to him. Any kind of load management rules, those don't apply to him. Tampering, nah. Kawhi does whatever Kawhi and Uncle Dennis feel like he wants to do.
Overwhelmingly, the
Yes.
response I've gotten from all over the league is the league has to dig really deep on this, take it seriously, and lay the hammer down if the punishment fits the crime.
And I'm here to tell you right now, that's most likely not happening, bro. The NBA has a vested interest in not seeing any of these things through, okay? Because Kawhi Leonard now is a Clipper, right? He's been there for years. All these lawsuits we've seen from the past, nothing's happened since, right? And maybe they're still in the process of doing the diligent work, right? There's some of the stuff takes years.
And I've even had people who are like, I've already seen enough for them to do something to the Clippers, not Joe Smith something, which was 5 first-round picks and suspensions for Glenn Taylor and Kevin McHale. I think it went down to 3 first-round picks in the end. I mean, I'll just read a text I got just before we came on from a league executive. Most people I've talked to think the Clippers need to explain this now. They have the job to prove their innocence at this point.
I promise you, I'm going to make a follow-up video if there's actually a verdict that is serious or pennable, right, on the Clippers and Kawhi, if this whole Pablo Torres stuff ends up actually doing something, right? The NBA right now is trying their hardest to basically put this under the rug so that, they can get the Clippers to host the All-Star break. Fair enough. But now, after the All-Star break, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with them, right? But there's a lot here. Clearly, there's a lot here. I mean, and the NBA, let's see how they finesse this situation again. Oh, boy.